Recording started, team. So, good morning, team. In this Databricks master program, in today's session, we'll talk about Azure Databricks data flow architecture. So, let's quickly see. So, we already have seen yesterday what is Azure Databricks. Again, we will see what is Azure Databricks, challenges to solutions with Azure Databricks, history of Azure Databricks, Azure Databricks architecture, Azure Databricks data flow architecture, batch data processing with Azure Databricks, stream data processing with Azure Databricks, machine learning on batch data with Azure Databricks. So all these things we are going to discuss. So let's get started. What is Databricks? Anybody remember?
It's a software as a service that helps with storing large amount of data.
It's not a
And
software as a service. It's a platform as a service. What is software as a
okay.
service? Software as a service means you need to take complete functionality, everything, coding, everything will be taken care by the Microsoft. As an end user, you are just using. So, but here what we are doing, we are just using the computational services and we are writing the code. Okay. So that's why remember, Databricks is a platform as a service and it's a new analytical service. It is a new analytical service which is a faster, easy, scalable, and collaborative Apache Spark based analytical service on Azure. So if somebody asks you, can you just define the AWS Databricks? You can say it's a new analytical service which is a faster, easy, scalable, and collaborative Apache Spark based analytical service on AWS. If somebody asks Google Databricks definition, you need to say new analytical service, which is a faster, easy, scalable, collaborative Apache Spark based analytical service on Google. Okay. So we already discussed Databricks is fast. Why Databricks is fast? It uses Spark. Databricks is easy. Why? Because Databricks uses interactive notebooks where you can able to execute bit and pieces of your code and you can able to generate the output and see your you can just watch over bit and pieces of your code output. Scalable because automatically the computational power it will increase and it will decrease. And collaborative Apache Spark. Collaborative means it will combine all those things based on analytical service on Azure. Okay, so this is based on the analytical service on Azure. So this is based on basically it is from the Microsoft Azure. Okay. Next, seamlessly integrated with other Azure services in an interactive workspace. Most probably in real time we may need to connect to the databases, data warehouses, data like storage, blob storages, all these things from the Databricks. So you can directly connect to any of the service from the Databricks. Earlier when we are using Hadoop, right? Wherever your data doesn't matter, first you need to bring data into the HDFS, Hadoop distributed file system. It's one of the storage for storing data. From there your Spark will take the data and it will process it. Once the processing is completed, again from HDFS you need to load output data back to the databases or any other place where you want to store. But Databricks you don't require, it is not specific to any particular storage. It can directly connect to any of the file system, any of the REST type, any of the database, data warehouse, anything it can able to connect. Reduced cost and complexity with managed platform that auto scales up and down. So because it will reduce the cost, as we are increasing the computation only when we need, we are cutting down the computation when we don't require. So that's how it will basically save the cost. Next, complexity with the managed platform. So which is nothing but it is completely managed by the cloud providers. It is completely managed by the cloud providers. Clear?
Yes.
Next, as I mentioned, so Databricks allows data engineers, data analysts, data scientists to work collaboratively within the same Databricks workspace. within the same notebook. Okay, next. Any doubts in this slide? Very important today. Each and everything is very, very important, because today onwards your actual things will start. Yesterday just some knowledge on the theory or data or data engineering, data information. Okay, but today whatever we are going to do, this will be very useful for you. Okay, next. So Databricks, it is making process of data analytics much more productive, because all the people are working collaboratively, and it has enterprise grade security, which means that you can provide the better security for the your data. Okay, so how you can able to provide not only for the data, you can provide the better security through multiple things. One is Azure Active Directory, where who can access the Databricks workspace, who can have the read access, who can have the manage access, who can have the edit access on the notebooks you can control. The other thing is, if you want to connect to the data lake storage or blob storage, whatever credentials we have, right? So for example, if you want to connect to your mobile, you are using some authentication pin or password, right? Similar to that, now what happens is, here whatever credentials we have, all those credentials, instead of hard coding in the notebooks, you can put them in the key vault. From the key vault you can read those things into the Databricks. Elastic scalability, as you know, it will increase the computation as we need. When the require, like when you don't require the computational power, like more computers, it will cut down automatically. So this also you will see today. Okay, today we have a lab where I am going to create Databricks, and I'll show you all these things. Okay, it is compatible with the tools and services we know and trust. Example, it can connect to the Azure Active Directory, Power BI, data lake storage, Blob Storage, SQL database, SQL data warehouse, Cosmos DB, Snowflake, anything it can connect. Even it can connect to the AWS S3. So whatever you want to connect, everything it can allow you to connect. Okay, next. It ensures don't go overpay. What it means? It means that it will save the cost by controlling many parameters, and make sure you are not paying too much for the Databricks. There are two ways in which it will control. One is, as we already discussed, auto scaling, where we can increase the computation, where we can able to decrease the computational power as per the demand. Second thing is auto terminate. Auto terminate means, let's say minimum 3 computers you are using, maximum 10 computers. What it means? Always 3 computers keep on running, and as per the demand it will go up to 10 computers. So let's say now you don't have any requirement to run any job, so still how many computers are going to run?
Three.
Three. So now that is also cost, right? When the jobs are not running, you can put something called terminate inactive time equal to 15 minutes, which means that in the since last 15 minutes, if there is no job is submitted, which means that this particular cluster is inactive, nobody is submitting the job, you stop the cluster to save the cost. So two ways. One is you can increase the computational power, like computers from 3 to 10 when you need. When you don't require, cut them and keep maintaining 3. These 3 also keep running until 15 minutes. Within the 15 minutes, if you're not receiving any job, means you can understand that there is no other job which are ready to run. You can terminate these particular 3 computers also to save the cost. Okay, it has a multi-language support. What is meant by multi-language support? Okay, so it can allows data, like we have a Databricks notebooks where we can able to write SQL, Python, or Scala, any language code, right? So you can basically, as I mentioned, you can write Spark in SQL, Python, or Scala. So basically we can use the Python in order to write the code. Okay, next. Databricks with Azure Databricks. Okay, so any doubts in this slide? If you have any problem, you can just let me know immediately. Okay.
Yeah, I do have like one small query.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
please.
like, do we have the option? Example, I'm running the code and sometime I was not using that Databricks node. So with respect to these tools, auto terminate and all, if I come back after 20 minutes, if I run my query, will it take time or will it
Yes, yes,
maintained by
yes.
the cloud provider?
Because it takes some time. The way it will take some time is it is basically terminated, right? Terminated means stopped, right? Again it takes time to start the cluster. Okay.
Okay, these are all from the settings we can manage.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Okay. No, basically, yes, you can put 15 minutes. So 15 minutes means it will keep on waiting for the 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, it will basically fail. It will stop the cluster if no jobs are submitted. After 20 minutes, meaning once the cluster is stopped after 5 minutes, when you say 20 minutes, right, you submitted a job. Now what happens, cluster will be restarting, so starting again, not restarting, starting. So it take again 2-3 minutes to start. Okay, getting?
Okay, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, any other questions, team? Any other questions, team?
Malaya, this is Aman. Just wanted to ask, like, when you do a auto scaling,
Hmm.
what happens actually in the background? I mean, does the instances keep on adding, or like how exactly?
No, as per the demand. So when it realized there is no resources to process, there is a huge amount of data that is queued, and the jobs are getting queued, right? So it will automatically takes more computers
Okay,
up to
okay,
maximum number that you have specified.
okay, sure. Thank you.
It can connect to multi-dimensional or tabular cube, which we use in SAS. Yes, see, everything it can connect. In case if something is not available, you will definitely see something called some packages, libraries that you can able to install on the cluster. Definitely you can able to connect to any of the things from the Databricks. Okay, next. So with Databricks, get easy version control of notebooks. So like for every software development, version controlling is something very important. Doesn't matter whether you are data engineer, web application developer, or you are a support person, doesn't matter. But version control is something very, very important. So very quickly, I'll explain for next 2-3 minutes on the version control. Let's say when the WhatsApp is introduced to team, can you tell me what is the initial feature that they have released to us? When the WhatsApp is introduced, what
Messages
is the initial
in the
feature is only chatting, isn't it? Only chatting. So what happened next? They added audio call. Next, they added video call. Next, they added group calls. Okay, so meaning if you see, it is not developed in a at once. It is called a version 1, where they have developed the code. Okay, where they have developed the code, they tested the code, they deployed the code into the production. When the code is in the production, end user like us, we are installing the WhatsApp and we are chatting. Now what they need to do is they need to take the existing code version 1, they need to add a audio call functionality code, and they need to create a version 2. So this version 2 also they will test it, they will develop it, test it, and move it into the production. Now let's imagine this is already taken and made the changes. Okay, this v1 code they have taken and changed the code. Let's say here we have a hi. Now I made it as a hi, how are you, something like this. Now what happens in the version 2 when we have deployed? So what all things are there in version 2? What all functionalities we have?
Voice and video.
Not voice, chat and audio call. So now let's imagine they introduced the audio call, but audio call is not working. So what is the next important thing that they need to do? audio call, when they are deployed into the production, users are facing an issue. Calls are not getting connected. What is the immediate step that WhatsApp team will does?
Roll back to previous version.
Okay, you understood? You need to go back and restore to the only chat. Okay, take out the audio call functionality, put only the chat. If you have already, let's say V1, you have V2, you have separate codes you have maintained. So meaning hi you maintained in a one file, and you have taken a hi and you made a changes as a hi how are you in this second file. So as the second file is not working, you are moving to the file one. Let's say if you made a change within the file one, it is very difficult to say, hey, what all code I have added, let me remove that audio call code and go back to the only chat. That takes lot of time. By that time, your business will get a lot of negative feedback, isn't it? See, you are good at 100 things, but you are bad at one thing means, you know, right? How public will talk. Only public will focus on only that bad thing. Similarly, when any business, they have a very good future like chatting, but audio call is not working means everybody talk about WhatsApp is not working and it is not connecting calls. Chatting is also bad. They'll just add that one also. Okay, they'll say chatting also it is getting stuck and messages are not going on time. So many things. So like that. So what we need to do is, whenever backup plan, this is called backup plan, we need to have, where we need to, whenever we are making a changes, we need to keep a one version. So take that v1 and whatever code you have taken from v1, right, with that v1 you made the required changes and save it as a v2. Tomorrow v2 is working, so take the v2 code, create a v3 where you add the audio call video call functionality. Again, version 3 code you take, put it in the uh, version 4 where you add the group video call, and so on. That's how the development circle or development cycle will happen. So similarly, in the Databricks, whenever you are making some changes, all the changes will be saved as a version control automatically. Okay, DevOps these Databricks notebooks will save your changes like timely. So whenever you are making a changes, it will automatically take the change as a one version. It will save. Suppose there is a notebook where you have written reading the CSV file, writing into the Parquet, that will be saved as a one version. So after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you have added some other part of the code and executed. So that is basically immediately will be saved as another version. That's how the version control tools, GitHub and Azure DevOps are a version control tools which we are going to use in order to control the versioning within the notebook. Because whenever you are making a code changes, you need to know, suppose you want to it is very useful, because you will come to know when you start to using the Databricks in real time. Very useful, because many times what we do in the hurry, right, we make a lot of changes within the same notebook. Later we realized, okay, this is not working, we want to go back to the original notebook. How? You have a version where you can click on the restore to go back to that particular time, whatever code is there. Okay, this is not a versioning time travel, that is a part of the delta link. Okay, we can work securely in the Azure Databricks. As I mentioned, security wise, we have a key vault, we have Azure Active Directory, we also have a virtual network. See, normally, so whenever you have a house, right, you also have a file like walls, right, compound walls. What it means, so there will be a security person, so he will allow that person, then only he can able to enter into your home. If this particular person, if anybody wants to enter into this house, first he need to cross this particular walls. Similarly, virtual network is similar to that. This is a one more layer of the security for your Databricks or Azure Data Factory or Synapse. Virtual network is another level of security where we can able to keep the Databricks within the virtual network. If anybody wants to access the Databricks, they must have to enter within the virtual network. Okay. Next. Challenges to solutions with Databricks. Remember, challenges without Databricks, right? One second. Really, I am not able to understand from this Geeta. Geeta, have you joined? Geeta is there. I think almost 100 times I pinged in the group also. I really not able to understand how these people. How many times you might have seen? 3-4 times, 100 times I was telling her. I shared in the group. She is still same place. So this is very difficult to follow like this kind of people. They should have, when I'm saying something, they are not able to understand. I'm not talking in Chinese language. How these people will understand concept? Simple messages. Okay, fine. Challenges, if you see, clusters hard to set up and manage in the on-premise because you need a computers. So you need to bring the computers, you need to integrate the computers with the existing computers. It is very difficult to add the more computers. But in the Databricks, what happens? Everything is hosted platform, meaning Databricks team is going to take it. If you say, hey, I need 10 computers, it will give you 10 computers directly. Okay. So need to integrate a zoo of tools. What is zoo of tools? Zoo of tools is basically for the monitoring. But whereas Apache Spark here, what it does is it can able to monitor jobs, and we can see the jobs which are running, the cluster logs, everything within the same workspace. Tools are hard to use because if you want to write a code, right, you need to use PyCharm or Eclipse or Visual Studio Code or something you need to install in order to write the code. But here you don't require any tools. Here directly we can able to use interactive workspace. That is nothing but a Databricks notebooks we can able to use. That is very simple. Bit and pieces of code you can execute and see the output. History to Azure Databricks, if you see in 2006 Apache Hadoop project started, and then Mete Jaheria started Spark project in 2012. So he introduced this Spark in 2012, and he sold this particular Spark to the Apache people in 2013. So in 2013 itself, same Mete Jaheria only, what he has done is he has just found a Databricks service dedicated to the Spark. So initially Databricks is introduced in the on-premise. Okay, on-premise to run the Spark dedicated service called a Databricks to just run Spark jobs. Later, they integrated these Databricks with all cloud providers like Azure, AWS, Databricks. So that's why wherever you are learning Databricks, you are learning in on-premise, Azure, AWS, Google, doesn't matter. So this will cover almost everything. If you learn any of this, it will cover almost all those things. Okay. Architecture of the Azure Databricks. Yeah. So the end of the today's session is, with this we are going to end the today's session, but this takes around 30 minutes. Okay. Now very carefully observe here. So this is basically I'm going to create a Databricks workspace from the Azure portal. So Azure portal is a place where you can able to access the Azure services. Where these services are physically located, where these services are physically located, tell me, any idea? Where these services are physically located, any idea? Please confirm to me, any idea?
Like in Microsoft sites,
Microsoft?
in their servers, Microsoft servers.
Yesterday I told you there are data centers in a different locations. I have taken an example of US, India, Russia, something like that. But when I'm creating yesterday storages, data factory, I have shown you in US lot of locations they have a services are available. Similarly in India, Central India, South India, East India or West India, something, right? So there are 3 places in India we have the data center or services available. So that how you will come to know Databricks is available in what all locations is while creating the Databricks workspace from the Azure port. Oh, sorry. That lab is for other people, right? That is for ADF and Synapse people. Okay, so remember, this is basically called a data centers. Data centers means you will have the suppose you want to store some data in your computer, but in your computer already there is no storage available. Entire storage is full. What is the next step you will do? You will purchase the hard disk. When the hard disk comes, where you are going to keep that? You will keep it in your home or your organization. That is called on premise. If any device you are able to touch, if you are able to see, if you are managing, it is called on premise. But when we talk about the cloud, what happens in the cloud is all our services will be there in a different locations. So the services will be there in India, US, UK, and so on. What we are going to do is we are going to we are just going to choose location, whether I need to store data in India, whether I need to store data in UK, whether I need to store data in US. So I am going to choose that. Based on that, these Databricks workspaces or storages, anything is going to create. So you are not managing these things, you are not touching these things, you are not seeing these things. These are accessing, these services you are accessing through network. Using the network, you are accessing these services over the network, remember. Okay, so that how you can able to access that through the network, I'll tell you. So first important thing, very basic, remember. So portal.azure.com is the place. So portal.azure.com is the URL that you need to use. What is that URL? See, portal.azure.com is the URL that you need to use in order to access any Azure services. Okay, not only Databricks or Data Factory, storage, as anything. This is the portal. Okay, now if you click on this, okay, go to all services. Okay, so you can search your data. Okay, sorry. So analytics. If you go, you can see Azure Databricks. You can see the Data Factory. Okay, you can also see the Synapse Analytics. Everything will be a analytics, right? Next, databases. Click on database, SQL database, Cosmos DB, storages you want, go to storages. Okay, Blob storages, data lake storages, everything you can able to see it here. Okay, so monitoring services, Internet of Things, and many other things. Okay, whatever you want, you can able to use. Now, let's say this is the Azure Databricks. Just click on this Azure Databricks. Okay, here if you want to create Azure Databricks, you can just click on create to create Azure Databricks. That is one way. The other simple way is, instead of clicking on this, clicking on all services, go to analytics, click on Azure Databricks. Instead of doing this much, you can simply say here Databricks. If you search, you will get like that. Click on this, you will come here. This is very easy. Okay, somehow you reached this. Okay, whatever way you want to use, you can use and reach here. Now if you want to create a Databricks, just click create. When you are creating the Databricks, you see it is asking region. What is meant by region is, so this Databricks is available in all these locations where you want to create your Databricks. I have given an example, right? I have given one example. What is that example? If we have storage in the India location, right? So if you are choosing the storage account in India location, what happens whenever you are storing some data, that will go and store in the India data center. So here Databricks also, if you say something like this, east to west, so in east to west basically Databricks will create. Okay, in east to west data center, Databricks will create. What it means, meaning all the required computers, all required security groups, all required virtual networks, everything will be created from the east to west. Clear all of you? Any questions? Clear all of you? Any questions, team?
Yes, clear.
So now subscription. See, you might have Amazon Prime or Geo subscription, okay, G subscription. So many other subscription generally we will maintain for what? Maybe for watching the latest movies, maybe for watching the cricket matches and many things we take that subscription. Basically, we are just making the payment, then we are taking subscription in order to use the services. Similarly, this is a subscription, pay as you go. There are two types of subscription. One is prepaid, one is postpaid. Prepaid means you recharge it for 1,000 or 2,000, you use it. Once the money is debited, right? Again you recharge it, and again you use the edge services. That is a prepaid. Postpaid means first you use the edge services. First you use the edge services, then you can make the payment as per the your usage. This is pay as you go is basically used for making the payment as per the usage. Next, resource group is for grouping of the resources. Okay, let's say when I create this Databricks, if you see in this diagram, right, many things are going to be created in the back end. One is, if you see, one storage account will be created to maintain the configurations. Compute will be created for computational power. Okay, then network will be created for maintaining the network, like security groups, okay, and many other things we are going to maintain it using the network. Clear all of you? All of you clear on this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
now we will see what all things. See, one storage account, one like computer will be created when we need it, but in order to create a cluster computer, whatever we need, all those things will be created. All those things will be created, and one virtual network will be created, one security group will be created, network interface will be created. So all those things will be created, that I'll show you. Okay, so let's create. So now if you see this, right, I'm just creating a resource group. So this is basically to group the required resources. Okay, workspace name I'm just giving Cloud Pandit ADB workspace. Okay, Cloud Pandit ADB workspace. It's just a name of the Databricks workspace, like which is basically used to identify the resource uniquely, which is used to identify the Databricks workspace uniquely. One of the name you need to give. See, name wherever you are giving, that is basically to identify the resources uniquely. You understood? Any of this option is confusing, let me know. Subscription is just for the usage of the Databricks you are making the payment, so those charges will be noted against the subscription name, pay as you go. Resource group is just grouping of the resources. Workspace name, so this is the Databricks workspace name. Region is in the East US data center. I am trying to create this Databricks. So premium or standard, you have different things. Trial is just 14 days, but if you use premium, right, you will have more control on the Databricks. So that's why I'm going with the premium. Just click review plus create. Click create. Okay. Now go here, click on all resources. Submitting deployment, let it submit. Yeah, it is submitted. Now you click on this carefully, very, very careful of you observe. So I am going to the all resources. Okay, go to all resources. I came to the all resources. Now you see, you don't have anything. See, this is also, this network watcher East US is also available in the network watcher RG. This is another resource group. But what is the resource group that we created? Cloud Pandit -RG. So now let's see in the Cloud Pandit -RG what all services are going to create. Meaning when you say Databricks, you created a Databricks. In order to run the Databricks, lot of backend services you need. All those things it will deploy. So what all things it is creating in the backend, you can able to see those things here. Clear all of you?
Yes.
You can see, right? One is Databricks, Azure Databricks service is creating. You can see in next 3-4 minutes, many things are going to create. You just refresh it. See, one storage account is created, network watcher is created, network security group is created, managed identity is created. Okay, Azure Databricks services created. All these are backend services that it required. See here, one network watcher is there, right? So same network watcher it may use. Let's see, mostly it will use the existing one, but let's see, is it creating new network watcher? So it's still in progress only. It is still deploying. Yes, the deployment is finished. Now you see, as of now, whatever is created. So these are the services which it is basically need a support from the backend. Okay, one is managed identity, one storage account, one so network watcher is basically it has taken from the existing resource group. So network security group, if it is not there, it would have created this one also. Okay, remember. A network security group and virtual network. Virtual network means, as I mentioned, so it's a one more control. So network security group is also one more control layer for the security. Okay, so it's kind of this. Okay, so this is the entire virtual network. If you say this is the one of the group, within that group we have the Databricks here. Now we need to have a proper permissions to the virtual network, proper permissions to the network security group, then only we can able to access the Databricks. Okay.
Malay, one question. So whenever we create that resource group here, so automatically it will create the all other things like managed identity, storage account, network, weather and all.
Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we have created a new resource, right? Like Azure Database service.
Yes.
So, but the rest of all, if you see managed identity or storage account, network watch and all the types, we have not created. So when you create a new resource, it will create automatically.
Hold on. So we have not created means that's what I told. All the supporting backend services it will create automatically. I said, right? So that is what it has done. Okay, it has created all those things in the backend because these all are supported things. And one more thing, if you see these 4 things, it has created under another resource group. Okay, this resource group automatically it will create. Okay, because these all are backend services which are supporting this Databricks. Instead of creating these backend services which are supporting this Databricks in the same resource group, so backend services will be deployed into another resource group. That resource group name also it will take default. Clear?
Yeah.
See,
Do we have control on this? Like which key vault it has to take, where it has to?
Databricks workspace. You can see the resource group name, right? Databricks-RG-Cloud Pandit ADB WS. What is meant by that? That is the Databricks workspace name which I have given. This is the name which is there in the resource group. You can see. Okay. Yeah. Tell me.
Do we have a control like for my Databricks notebook, it has to take the data from specific blob, not like a default one.
Huh? This is not for storing your data. I told it is just for the configurations for backend service maintenance. All the configuration details, everything it will store. This is not for storing your default data. Your data can be there anywhere. Databricks can able to connect and read the data. You cannot access this particular blob storage. So normally if you create a blob storage, you can open it and you can see the folder. So you can go to containers where you can see the folders, but you see, you will not be able to see anything. I think now we have, yeah. So now you see, deny assignment, authorization failed. You will not be able to access any of these folders because these are the jobs, ephemeral logs, meta, root. These are all the configurations of the Databricks workspace that we launched. You cannot access any of these folders. Okay. So this particular storage name, we are not going to use for storing our data. Clear? This is just for the backend configurations.
Okay, got it.
Okay, next, any other questions? Okay, careful observe. Now I am clicking on the Cloud Pandit ADB workspace. This is the workspace name. Launch workspace. Okay, clear. Now go to okay, so this is the Databricks workspace. I'll just explain to you in detail tomorrow. So for today, what we need to understand is go to compute where you can create your cluster. We discussed a lot of things on the cluster. Let me show you everything. Okay, this is the place where you will create a Spark cluster. Okay, click on create compute. We talked about two things with respect to the don't go overpay. What it means is, so you can see the enabled auto scaling, minimum computers how many, maximum computers how many. So minimum means always 2 are going to run. On demand, when we need more computers, it will take up to 8. Once the requirement is completed, there is no jobs running, it will cut down and it will keep on maintaining only 2 computers. Now terminate after how many minutes? Minimum time that you need to put is 10 minutes, not less than that. See, if you put 9 minutes, it will say, it is not saying anything about what is happening. See here, it is saying create cluster. There is an issue. See, when I have given 10 minutes, it is enabled, but if you are given 9 minutes, it is disabled. So you can see the error message should show up here, but it is showing here. Auto termination minutes interval must be between 10 and 10,000 minutes. Okay, that's a minimum time. 10 generally we will use 15 to 20 minutes in real time. Okay, meaning after the there is no jobs are running, then still 2 worker nodes are keep on running. Now what we need to do is these 2 worker nodes we need to terminate after 15 minutes of inactivity. There is no jobs are submitted for about 15 minutes. You can terminate it. So these 2 are the options that I was talking about. Everybody is clear on that? At this time, everybody is clear on that for the supporting theory?
Yeah, I have a question.
Tell me.
Okay, so now let's suppose, like, if you're running like a heavy notebook, okay, and as you have told, like, there will be like initially it will be like minimum 2 worker nodes which will be like acting, and automatically it should move on to like, or it should add like more worker nodes as and when required. But the thing is, like, sometimes what happens is, like, even if you run like a very heavy notebook, still what happens is it only, I mean, works with like 2 worker nodes, and the performance is like not that great. So is there any specific
See, first
configuration?
thing you try to understand. So that is in the, you are talking about in the on-premise. Okay, so in on-premise, generally what happens is, so resources will be divided into multiple jobs. Okay, so resources will be divided into multiple jobs. That's why even though you have 8 nodes, it will show up only using the 2 nodes. But here, okay, so one second. That option they removed it, I think. So these are the options. Okay, so you have policy, personal computer, power user computer, legacy shared computer. So these are the new options that came exactly, and I did not remember what is what. So if you disable this, right? So cluster modes, you can see here, high concurrency, standard, single node. High concurrency means again, there will be a resource sharing will be there. If you have 8 computers means if 3 jobs are running, for 3 jobs resources will be shared and all the jobs are going to run parallel. Standard means if you have a 3 jobs, first job is submitted, first job will take all the resources, it will run. Second job, once first job is completed, all the resources will be allocated to the job 2, all the resources will be allocated to the job 3. So that you need to decide how you want to assign your resources. It is not like on premise, here you have a different setup. Clear?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you need to control this. Next question, quick. Any questions, please, you can ask.
And same cluster can be used for multiple notebooks. That was
Yes,
correct
yes,
assumption,
yes,
right?
yes. You can assign as many notebooks. Generally, in real time, we will have for all data engineers one cluster, all data scientists one cluster will be there. So if we have a 2 data engineering teams, for each team there will a separate cluster. They will tell us if you are working for a 5-6 projects, you need to work in same client. You are working for 5-6 projects. Maybe many of you may not have understanding on those things, but you will have such type of requirements where you are going to develop 5-6 projects within the same Databricks workspace. In that case, what happens is for each project one cluster also will be created. Okay, next. Team, feel
What
free to
happens
ask
if we
me.
reach the maximum worker level? We gave 8 over there, right? What if that maximum level is reached and you still need some more workers?
You cannot do so, your job is going to take more time to execute, that's all.
Okay.
Because you have, let's see, that is simple, right? You have a less resources means you can just run the less jobs, or your jobs are going to take more time.
Okay.
Next. Feel free to ask any silly question also, because when you ask the question, when you are interactive, you will understand the things. If you are silent in the class, then you will get bored. Okay. Yeah, the resource group name.
And do we have any unlimited here? Example,
No,
it's a
we have
critical one
only
in
one lab,
production.
but nobody is going to use one lab.
So we have to mention the min and max workers
Yes.
compulsory.
Yes, not compulsory. For example, in today's session, if you see, right, so basically I have a problem. What is that problem is, I have issue with the subscription. My subscription is like I am making the payment. Why I need this many computers? I don't require auto scaling. You can remove it. You can say fixed number of nodes I want to run. Fixed only 2. Let's say I want to learn the things. So I don't even require a one worker node, one driver node. Okay, I need only one computer to do everything. To save the cost, you can click on a single node. Single node means only one computer will be created. Okay, so I just choose a single node, and the termination option is 120 minutes means 2 hours. But let's say I'll put 15 minutes. What it means? So within the 15 minutes, if no jobs are submitted, it will be terminated. Clear? So this is a single node, meaning only one computer will be created in the backend. So the mission memory will be 14 GB memory, and 4 cores will be there for that particular computer. And it will be stopped. That computer will be stopped after 15 minutes. Where we can see that computer details is when you click create cluster. Okay, I'm just creating the cluster. Okay, so the cluster is creating. Where it will create? Same here. Here you will see the virtual machine hard disks. Okay, so everything will be created, virtual machine, hard disk, many things will be created for the this virtual machine. You can see. See a network interface again, public IP address. IP address we need, right, to access the computer. See, there are some kind of disks are created. Okay, disks are created because you created virtual machine is created. Virtual machine means it's a computer, but you cannot touch it. You cannot able to see it physically. You can able to access through the network. That's why it is called virtual machines. Physical machine means you can touch, you can see that. But virtual machine means these missions, all configurations will be deployed in the East-West data center. In the East-West data center. Clear? Okay, so all these things are created. If you come here, so it is not completed. You can see, go to event logs, you can see who created this, who deleted this. If somebody has done silly things, simply stopping cluster when the jobs are running, and everything will be saved. Don't do any mistakes. Okay, now let's say I want to run some jobs on this cluster. Now you need to create a notebook. I told you interactive notebooks. Okay, click on new, click on notebook. This notebook, when you are creating, so click on notebook, right? See, this notebook by default it is creating in Python because Python is the default language which is popular. That's why they made it as a Python. Okay, but if you want to rename this notebook name, you can say demo notebook. Okay, and in which language? Python. You want to see, you can just attach the cluster. This is the cluster. It is already attached. Now whatever code, let's say a equal to 10. Click on this plus, print a. So it's very interactive. You are assigning, you are printing the a. Again you are doing b equal to, okay, a plus 10. Okay, print b. So like this. So simple examples I'm showing you. Okay, so like this, very interactively you can keep on adding these cells and you can keep on executing your things. Everybody understood things here? Team, everybody understood things here? Got it? How we will access the Azure services? How?
Portal.azure.
Very good. So the URL is portal.azure.com. One second. So portal.azure.com is the URL to access Azure services. To access Azure services. So which is the service we need to search next? So search Databricks. Okay, click create Databricks. So when you click create Databricks, what all options? First important thing is subscription, which is very important. Subscription. Second thing is resource group. Third one is, okay, Databricks. Workspace name is also very important because to identify uniquely, you may have multiple Databricks workspaces in real time. You need to identify it. That's all. The fourth one is region, location, where you want to create Databricks workspace. These four are very, very mandatory. Not only for this, if you want to create tomorrow ADF, only thing is subscription you need, resource group you need, and ADF name you need to provide. Okay, here same here, what you need to do, search ADF or ADF, create ADF, and you provide these details. Again, you want to create a data like storage or blob storage you want to create. Okay. Search for blob storage, or let's say synapse you want to create. Search for synapse, click on create synapse. Okay, subscription resource group you need to provide say only synapse. That's all. What you understood from all these things, location is mandatory because in the cloud in which data center you want to keep your data, in which data center you want to get your computational services. All those things you need to choose. Resource group is for grouping of the resources to maintain. Subscription is for the charges to be applied, right, for the usage of our services. Clear, all of you? Any doubts on this? That's all for today. So tomorrow
Malaya.
we will see the one second. Tomorrow we will see the Databricks workspace overview, and we will see the Databricks notebooks part 1. We will start where we will understand the notebook options, whatever we can do within the notebook, just to understand the what we can do it within the notebook. Is it will take 2 days for me, so we will discuss next few days on that. Yes, tell me now.
Yeah, cluster is the combination of virtual machine, network manager, and all that, right?
Cluster is just a group of computers. So those group of computers to run, those computers require a backend service support. What all the backend service support? It need a public IP address, network interface, resource group, virtual network, disks. So all these things are the backend services which supports to run this virtual machine. Okay.
So in one Databricks, you can create as many clusters as you want, right?
Yes, you can create.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, team? Any other questions? Feel free to ask if you have any questions. See, 1 or 2 days, the recordings, the link sharing will be a problem because new people will come. Some people, I'll share the link, they will join something else. So this confusion will be there. If we see for 2-3 days, everything will be resolved and we will be in a proper track. Okay. Don't worry about those things also. I'll look into those issues. Okay, final call team. Any questions for today?
Mali, just one question. If we want to try the Azure services just for practice purpose, so when we create an account, that time itself we have to enter some payment options so that when we choose the option of the subscription, it will be using that.
Yes. So when we create the Azure portal account, right? So second step is we need to create a subscription. So how we can able to do those things? So tomorrow session combinedly for the ADF and Databricks team, combined session I'll take tomorrow and I'll show you. Okay. Because that is important for us to take the next steps, right? That's why we will look into that issue. Okay. Any other questions, team?
Malaya, you didn't share the video to create the subscription and all that.
Yes. So I'll share today because yesterday,
Yeah.
so because I'm also working, it's a lot of pressure on the current project. I'm not getting time to talk to all of you. That's why. Okay. So definitely I'll share today. I'll take some time
Sure.
and I'll share. Okay. Anything else, team? See, I told you, maybe I'm not sure for which batch I told you. What you need to do from today, you put a one book, note down all your doubts. Okay, end of our training, all your doubts should be clarified. Okay, so keep on maintaining a one notes where you keep on maintaining your doubts so that you can answer all your doubts. Okay. Okay then. If no more questions, thank you all. Thank you. That's all.